So first up, we are going to take a look at these two clips that I just showed you on the front of them. You might see how at the beginning of this video you could see these two clips that you zoomed in, but the actual ground, like the mountains itself, kind of moved disproportionately to the foreground. So the way of doing this is going ahead and grabbing the last frame in your video sequence, preferably a video sequence that goes directly forward and directly backward in space. Now, if you can do that well enough, it will be far easier than it was for me because I was using a drone in high winds. Now, once you do that, take a screenshot of this last frame and then drag and drop that screenshot back into your timeline so that you can have a point of reference as to where you need to crop your first frame to. So go to this last frame, click on the keyframe button in your top left corner of your playback screen, and then go to your first frame again. Now you'll see here I've turned down the opacity in the top right hand corner, turned down the opacity to about 50% so that I can see both images overlaid. I put it down below because I wanted to be able to see the image first, the image that I filmed first, and then I started moving a little more quickly with, or I sped this video up because it takes quite a while, but you have to use a lot of trial and error to move these pictures around unless you just scroll around with the transform button, but I'll teach you that after this clip. But for this one, I did a bunch of trial and error, and it turned out to look a little bit like this. Okay, so this is an example of a clip that was very difficult to do this editing style on, so much so that it didn't look great at the end. If you did have a wider field of view with your lens, it would be a little bit easier than it was for me in this video. But after doing that trial and error method quite a few times, I quickly realized this one was going to be a little bit too far off for me to be able to figure out how to overlay it evenly by doing my previous method. So I changed into a different way of doing it, which was a little bit more numerical and a lot easier than trial and error, which was going over to the right side corner, or right side, upper right side of the screen, looking at all the different settings and using the crop and the transform tool on my clip that I filmed to compare one another to the screenshot by clicking V many times to turn a clip on and off, and eventually I got it probably as overlaid as it will get, but due to the fact that the drone moved so much left to right while it was flying, it didn't make a great impression on changing the foreground from the background. On top of that, this wasn't a great area to do it. I was trying to go for that whole feeling of going through a canyon and having it warp around you. However, it didn't really work out too well. Like I said, the winds were really bad, and I also don't have a hugely wide-angled lens on this drone. Now, that being said, you can definitely do this a lot better than I did. I was recording it from my drone that I was flying from my house, so my range was very limited here, and I couldn't go super far back into the canyon. However, that aside, it didn't turn out horribly, but it definitely would have been a lot better had I been a little bit closer to the canyon so I could go a little bit further, because the longer your footage is, the more dramatic this effect is going to look.